Hello, and welcome to week 8. I'd like to thank you all for your hard work last week. The argumentative paper is a difficult paper, and it was your first go around doing peer review, rough drafts, all of that writing process stuff in this online format. So, for those of you who completed all of those assignments, I just want to say great job. Thank you for working so hard, and thank you for putting up with some of the inherent difficulties that come along with doing this kind of work in an online format. Um, those of you who did the assignment, I haven't graded the papers yet, I will this week, but who did the peer review and the rough draft and whatnot and responded to your partner's work. I thought you all did a great job and, um, just all around good work navigating the technology. I hope my announcements and messages and responses to your email queries were helpful. Um, So, beginning with what we're starting this week, we have a quick turnaround where we have another writing assignment coming up. Um, the idea here is to give you a little bit different assignment to write in a little bit different style genre so that you learn more skills, using multiple skills before you're done with the course. We're spending 2 weeks on this paper instead of 4 because it's a shorter, less complex, less difficult type of assignment, and you don't have to do any outside research. With the argumentative paper, we spent 4 weeks because the first 2 weeks were really designed for you to do research. You essentially had to learn all about a new topic to write on it, and that took a couple of weeks. So this time you don't have to do any outside research, so it's kind of eliminating those 2 weeks. But that means that you have a rough draft due by the end of this week. So I know that's not a ton of time, but again, it's a shorter, less complex paper, and you don't have to do any outside research. So if you go and you look at the discussion board for this week, just like 2 weeks ago, it's all based around on getting that rough draft up there, and then next week we'll do peer review like we did last week. So hopefully everyone will be more familiar with those things now. We don't need to do a long video this week because you know how to upload the rough draft now. You know how to upload the peer review right now. All of that. You should be familiar with it now. I think overall it went pretty well. If you look at the assignment prompts for the rough draft and the peer review, you'll see that I've added a few things, tweaked a few things to help it go more smoothly. But I think for the most part it worked pretty well. So it's basically the same. So there's not too much ground we have to cover there. So all I'm really going to do in this video is talk about the concept of a literacy narrative, because that's what you're working on this week. That's what your paper is. It's called a literacy narrative. So again, it's a little bit different genre. It's a little bit different from what you're used to doing. With the argumentative paper, you've probably written an argumentative paper in high school or other college classes you've taken before. That's a pretty common style of paper. Literacy narratives a little bit different. The idea here is to give you diversity in your rhetorical repertoire, to be able to write in more styles, more genres. For instance, this class is taught other ways at other universities. At one university I worked at in the past, every assignment was an argumentative paper. They were specific nuanced types of arguments, like, for example, I think the first one was a cause and effect argument, the second one was a definition argument, and the third one was a problem solution argument. So subtle differences, and students usually wrote on a different topic for each one, but in that kind of course, you end up writing essentially the same paper 3 times, or very similar types of papers. I've also seen it done at another university I worked at with 3 different analysis papers, say a rhetorical analysis, and then an analysis of a movie or a commercial or something, and then finally an analysis of a problem. So again, different topics, slightly different papers, but again, writing the very same type of paper over and over again. What I really like about EWU and what we have to offer in our composition program is the diversity, the chance, the opportunity to write in different styles. So instead of doing 3 argumentative papers or 3 analysis papers, or an analysis paper and an argumentative paper, because again, you use analysis to prove an argument, so those are very similar. We do an argumentative paper, so you learn that traditional important style, a literacy narrative, so you use some of the same skills to write in a little bit different genre, and then the final project that we'll do 2 weeks from now over the final 2 weeks of the course is a portfolio, which gives you the opportunity to review and revise some of your work. So we'll talk about that in a couple weeks, but I'm just trying to situate the literacy narrative for you contextually right now to show you, explain to you why we're doing it, why it's important, how it's different from the argumentative paper, how it's similar, to help you write it. So if you read the assignment prompt directions, hopefully those are very clear and straightforward. If you do the readings that are required listed on the syllabus this week from the textbook, those should also help. Chapter 8 from the Everyone's an Author textbook has really good resources. It gives really good examples of a literacy narrative. And I'll also be posting some sample papers later in the week from past classes too. So those should all be helpful for clarifying you just what this is. Basically, it's still an argumentative essay, but rather than making an argument about a topic you researched that you don't necessarily know that much about before, you're making an argument about yourself and your own experience. It's kind of a personal essay, personal but still professional, still academic essay. So instead of making an argument about, say, vaccinations or the environment or standardized testing or something, you make an argument about your own experience. If you look at the assignment prompt, I have a number of questions there that should help you come up with an idea. Please do not answer all of these questions, or you don't even have to answer any of them if you think of something on your own. They're just there to help you. Answering one of them might give you your thesis for this paper is the idea. Answering some of the other ones later on might help you further in the paper, but please do not try to answer all of them or more than just a couple. And pick one as kind of the main one you answer for your thesis. So along these lines, when I've taught this in the past, students usually focus on an event or a person, which is good because that gives you specific focus, something specific to talk in detail about. So basically the thesis would go something like, this event, you would name it specifically. I'm doing hypothetical here. So this event impacted my life in a significant way because, and give the reason why. So you're making an argument about how you grew or changed or learned something new based on an influential person or event or experience. So it's similar in that you have an argument, but it's different because you'll be using the first person and talking about personal experience. So you still want to have the same basic principles, clear topic sentences, several subtopics to support your thesis, 3 or 4 reasons why this thing or how this thing impacted your life. And then based on those subtopics, you want to have clear topic sentences so the reader knows what each paragraph is about at the start of the paragraph. And again, you want to have evidence that you analyze to prove your argument. And that's a key difference, what the evidence is. It's a similar structure, as you can see, to the argumentative paper. And that's why the peer review worksheet is similar. But you want to have your evidence be your own personal experience. So instead of using facts or statistics or charts or graphs or quotes or several of those things in addition to personal experience, because maybe you talked about personal experience in your argumentative paper once or twice, that'd be fine. Here, all of the evidence is based on personal experience. So, you have a clear thesis in your intro about how this thing impacted your life. You have a clear topic sentence in your first paragraph about one of the reasons why, and then you go into detail. You give an example from it, and you explain why that example proves your argument. So the structure is not that different. The basic principles are not that different. What is different is the style. Instead of using facts and statistics and charts and graphs, you use your personal experience. So you use the first person more. What you want to avoid in academic writing is saying things like, I think, I believe, in my opinion. Don't use the first person that way. But when you're talking about your personal experience, you can use first person. So to give you an example, you might have a sentence that starts like, in my second year of high school, my sophomore year, my basketball team competed in a state tournament, and I learned a great deal from this experience. That's a perfect example of how it's appropriate to use first person in an academic essay, especially a literacy narrative like this. And then that might be your example, say in a body paragraph. So then after that, you might say something like, what I learned from this experience is, or the reason why this experience helped me grow, ... What you want to avoid is saying something like, I think the reason I grew from this experience is ... That would be bad use of the first person. You just say, what I learned from this experience is. Just state the idea. Don't say you think it or you believe it. Just state it like you know it. Readers appreciate that more. They know it's your opinion. They know it's what you think. So you don't need to tell them that. Just state it. And then they'll look for the evidence and the proof. So Again, you'll need to use first person for this paper, but only use it as a method of describing your personal experience, describing your evidence. Don't say I think, I believe, or in my opinion. And hopefully you enjoy this. Hopefully it's easier to talk about your personal experience than some other topic you've researched. It's only a 3 to 4 page paper. It's not as long. So I hope it goes well for you. But remember those basic principles: a clear thesis about how this experience shaped your life, clear subtopics to support that thesis, clear topic sentences where you state those subtopics at the start of paragraphs, good transitions, and then evidence. Description, brief summary of what happened to you, and that's where it's okay to use first person. Then analysis, explanation of how this affected you. Critical thinking to show that to readers. So not that different from the argumentative paper, but different enough that you're learning more skills. You're using a variety of techniques. You're learning how to use the first person in a way that's appropriate. So again, hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully that gives you some skills in the long run that will be helpful. I know it might be kind of confusing because it's like an argumentative paper, but not quite. It's a little bit different. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me. But again, if you read the directions for the assignment and you do the readings from the textbook that are listed on the syllabus for this week, I think you'll be in great shape. I think those will really help you. Those are good examples. Also, if you look at the sample papers I post later in the week, those should help too. So let me know if you have any questions, but be sure to do those readings first. And hopefully it all makes sense. I think it can be a fun, interesting, engaging assignment if you follow the directions and give it a shot. So let me know if you have any questions, but have a great week.